Hi, this is Sensei James Leonelli from Sensei's Weekly Mindset, and I'm here to talk to you about betonline.net. Betonline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball, soccer, and esports. Don't forget my personal favorite, MMA. We've got it all on betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, we can help you find those on BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. And don't forget BetOnline for NHL, boxing, golf, and like I said, my personal favorite, the sport of MMA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. Thank you to BetterHelp for sponsoring this episode. Life isn't always easy, and you don't have to face it alone. BetterHelp is the world's largest therapy service, and it's 100% online. With BetterHelp, you have access to a network of over 25,000 licensed and experienced therapists who can help you with a wide range of needs. To get started, you simply answer a few questions about your needs and preferences in therapy. That way, BetterHelp can match you with the right therapist from their network. Then you talk to your therapist however you feel comfortable, whether it's via text, chat, phone, or video call. You can message your therapist at any time and schedule live sessions when it's most convenient for you. The best part is, if your therapist isn't the right fit for any reason, you can switch to a new therapist at no additional charge. With BetterHelp, you get the same professionalism and quality you expect from in-office therapy, but with a therapist who is custom-picked for you, more scheduling flexibility, and at a more affordable price, all from the comfort at home. To start your journey and to get 10% off of your first month, go to betterhelp.com/sensei. That's better, HELP.com/sensei. BetterHelp, you deserve to be happy. Hi guys, Sensei James Leonelli here to talk to you about another one of our sponsors, LMNT. An electrolyte drink mix. Each one of these little packets gives you exactly what you need to keep you as hydrated as all us athletes like to be. If you're like me, you work out a lot, and when you work out a lot, you also sweat a lot. Now, when we sweat, we don't lose just water, of course. We also sweat out salt. We sweat out electrolytes. So each one of these packets contains 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium, giving you everything that you need in order to maintain optimal hydration and nothing that you don't. So to go online, place an order for your sample pack, and to get yourself a bonus free sample pack, you're going to go to this website right here, elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. You're going to see this down in the video below, but I'll say it one more time for you. elementallabs.refr.cc/James Leonelli. Again, it's a tasty electrolyte drink mix with everything you need and nothing that you don't. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Sensei's Weekly Mindset. I'm Sensei James Leonelli, owner and head instructor of Tiger Schulman's here in Smithtown. Once again, I am back in my home recording space, ready to give you guys this week's food for thought. As I am here, first things first, as always, guys, make sure that you guys are leaving a rate and review. It just helps. Make sure you subscribe, get your new episodes every Wednesday. If you're on YouTube, click that little notification bell so you get notified as soon as the new episodes drop. Make sure that you guys share the podcast. It's the only form of advertising that I have. I see the download numbers are going up again. I very much appreciate that you guys are spreading the word, so thank you guys very much. As I am sitting here today, I'm wearing a little bit of the Everyday We Train line, just as we often do here, available on tiegear.com. As we sit here, it's a couple of days into November, a little after Veterans Day, and I got word from John at Natty Combat Apparel about the figure that we raised for Mather Breast Center, which was great. I was so happy to see it blew his last year's fundraiser out of the water, which I was very happy about. Obviously, I always wanted more, but nonetheless, I'm still proud of what we were able to accomplish and how many shirts are out there, because I know many shirts are out there, which is great. But either way, guys, that has come to an end, and thank you for those of you guys who went on and bought yourself a shirt. I very much appreciate raising money for such a great cause. One more piece of housekeeping notes about vacation I mentioned in the last episode. We were away. It was an absolute great time. We surprised the kids with a trip to Universal. I'm going to drop the video on my social media pretty soon. So just be on the lookout for that as I surprise the kids with our trip to Florida. It was an awesome time. They had a great time. And I had a great time with them. You know, the wonderment of their faces, their excitement, how much Riley loved roller coasters, because whoa, that little girl wanted to go on the biggest and the scariest all the time, and it was a blast. So thank you for those of you guys for your well wishes, and it was a great time, a really fun and enjoyable time. Other than that, guys, let's get right into today's food for thought. I was talking with one of my students yesterday, and he's a guy, you know, an accomplished businessman. He's actually on his second big venture. What he kind of gained a little bit of notoriety in the Tiger Schulman's world because we did a bit of an interior redecoration, where we slowly but surely worked our way around the schools, and all of a sudden there's graphics on the wall, and redid how our interiors look. And Craig was one of the guys, one of the main guys actually, who reimagined it. He was really the idea guy. And he's been attending my school, you know, on and off for years, and just a great, happy guy. You never see Craig in a bad mood. Always upbeat, always happy. And for a while, his brother trained as well. So last night, a few minutes before class, I just said, "Hey, how's your brother? I haven't seen him, haven't heard from him." He's like, "Oh, yeah," and he's just he didn't want to talk bad about his brother, but he's like, "Yeah, I don't think he's heading his way back." I'm like, "Yeah, you know, whatever." But how's he doing? He's like, "Yeah, he's all right." And then Craig starts to talk about how he, I really started to buckle down on my nutrition. And I started this new diet, and it's a fad diet. I don't know how sustainable it is, but I'm sticking to it. And I'm seeing great results. I'm down 30 pounds. He goes, but again, I don't know how sustainable it is because, I'm eating very little, and I'm eating from a very limited menu, and a lot of my favorite things I'm not eating. So, we went out to dinner, a week or so ago, and I ate half of my food and I packed the other half right away, but then I'm looking at it in the fridge and and finally I had to just throw it out so I wouldn't eat it. He's like, "Yeah, so I don't know how long I'll be able to do this long term." And he was talking about we were at a football party yesterday, and I'm paying more attention to the wings than the game. He goes, "That's not good either. That's not sustainable." And I had to remind him of something that I thought was really important, that it's not so much that you have your best day, your 100% day, every single day of the week. That's not the most important thing. As a matter of fact, we know it is unlikely to be that way. It is the odds of you being at 100% perfect every single day forever. It's basically impossible, right? Because of everything he mentioned. You're going to go out to dinner. You're going to go to a birthday party, right? It was just my birthday. We had birthday dinner. There's always going to be an occasion, always. So because there's always going to be an occasion, right? I did it one year for the 90-day challenge. We were doing our 60 and 90-day challenge. I went through the calendar and I was like, yeah, think about how many occasions there are just in those 60 or 90 days, depending on which one we did that year. And either way, there's going to be so many occasions: birthdays, Valentine's Day, St. Patty's Day, Super Bowl Sunday, depending on how early or late you're going. Easter can sneak in there too. Right? There's so many holidays in that time. Not to mention if you have family that have birthdays, because I do, that have birthdays in that first quarter of the year. So of course, there's always going to be a day that sneaks up on you where, oh, okay, I guess I'm going to veer off. And the thing that we have to remember is it's not about one day at 100%. It's not about that. It's not about every day at 100%. It's about getting back up after you fall, all right? Because consistency is king, not one day, right? Imagine how it worked. Silly analogy, but it's funny. Years ago, one of the Grand Theft Auto games came out when I was fairly young. So I got it and we're playing it. And it was the first one where you could kind of customize your character. Everybody was the same character. You could change how he dressed a little bit, but everybody was the same guy. And depending on how much you ran with him, his stamina would increase or decrease. You could go to the gym and you could make him bigger. But it was funny because like you would see the results in one, you do the workout and you walk out of the gym, a little bit bigger. And the next workout, even bigger. And the next workout, even bigger. Even though we know that's not the way the world works, right? Wouldn't it be great if all I had to do was go and lift some weights and bang it out once and I was like, man, I'm jacked now. That would be amazing. But that is not the way it works. Instead, we know it is consistent work over time. So nonetheless, consistent work over time is what gets the job done, right? That's where it's won, right? It's the old tortoise and the hare. It's not about being the fastest and veering off and taking a nap. Being the fastest, getting distracted, and doing that. No, it's about being able to stay the course over time. Now, those sound conflicting, right? Because staying the course over time would mean that you stay the course all the time, which is not the case. Instead, going back to Craig's example, we're at the football party, wings come out. Okay, so have a couple of wings. Don't go crazy. Don't have all of them. Don't have everyone that's on the table. But, have a little bit, right? Indulge yourself that little bit. But then for your next meal, get back on the horse, right? The problem that people have when it comes to fitness and nutrition is when those occasions come, it just takes the cart off its wheels. They're completely out of commission, right? And they're not able to recover from it, right? That one bad meal, right? Oh, you go out to dinner for your birthday, they bring you birthday cake. Oh, well, it's wonderful. Right? That's great. But then the next meal, you're back on, right? The next day, you're back on, right? So like, it's not as though like, oh, we're having birthday cake for me, so I don't do anything physical today. I don't do any kind of workout, or I don't eat well the rest of the day. No, you do all that too. And then on top of it, you go and you do your right thing regardless. You go right back after, right? Because it's the course of time that brings the results. It's not simply that you're on course, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter what you're doing, right? If you take your multivitamins, you can take the greatest multivitamin in the world, but if you do it one day, it's worthless, right? Even if you miss a couple days here and there, if you're doing it over the long term, it's definitely going to benefit you. But speaking about the greatest of multivitamins, I want to talk about Magic Mind, and I want to talk specifically this week about their mission and their guarantee. Right? They have a promise to their customers, which is something I really respect because I like to make promises to my customers. People come into my school, I like to make them a promise about what's going to happen if they stay the course. But nonetheless, Magic Mind makes a promise as well. They promise to only use the world's best suppliers for their ingredients. Right? On top of that, they require rigorous testing of every ingredient that's sent to them for every single production run. They don't take one off. They're very consistent, to go back to today's message. Right? They want to readily provide certificates of analysis for their ingredients to anyone who requests them. All the person has to do is send an email to hello@magicmind, and they can get these certificates of analysis to know that they're getting the highest quality of ingredients in that little 1 ounce shot. They inspect every bottle of Magic Mind by hand, and they test every batch that they produce in their lab so that they ensure only the best comes in and only the best goes out. A promise that you can't help but love. Their goal is to make the best beverage on the planet for creators, and they promise to do it the right way for everyone involved, even if it means going above and beyond industry standards. And that's something that I love to see from a company that I'm working with. Their money-back guarantee refunds 100% of the money, no questions asked, without even asking for the bottles back. Now, I want you to experience this for yourself. So what you're going to do, you're going to use my productivity hack. You're going to go to magicmind.com/senseywm. There, you're going to use my code, SenseiWM20. You're going to get 20% off of Magic Mind. Again, that's magicmind.com/SenseiWM, and you're going to use my promo code, SenseiWM20, to get your 20% off of Magic Mind, so you can experience what the greatest ingredients can do for your mind. So back to today's mindset, the idea of how important consistency is, right? Like there's this old adage about you can throw some water at something and it's never going to make a big change, right? You throw the water at a rock, who cares, right? But a river carves its way through the mountain, not with overwhelming power, but instead with consistency. The fact that it just runs and runs and runs and runs and runs. Like, it's funny, silly thing, right? You guys know I do my cold plunge, so I have my cold plunge set up at a certain spot in the yard, and there was a little, just the tiniest bit tilted forward, but you could tell because from every day when I got in and the water would spill out in that one direction, there was a little channel carved by the water because day after day after day, the water was getting pushed in that direction. And that's the thing. When it comes to our goals, it's the consistency over time that matters, right? Now, people confuse consistency and perfection because they are not the same thing. And that's a very important ideal, right? It's not as simple as just you have to be perfect because that's unrealistic. You're never going to be perfect, right? You're never going to be at 100%. Maybe in the very beginning, that very first day or two, you might be 100%, but that's the first day or two. It's not the first day or two where the progress is made. It's not like that Grand Theft Auto game where you can go in the gym and 2 sessions later, you're like, right? No. Instead, it's what you do over the course of time. Martial arts is the very same way, right? We talked a lot about nutrition in this episode, talking about the idea that if you have that off meal or that off night or whatever, you get right back on the horse and you're able to stay the course. Well, martial arts is the same way, right? People have this sometimes backwards mentality where they believe that in order for them to really improve at martial arts, they have to have a 10 out of 10 in every training session, every single time that they train. And then if they go in and they have a 7 out of 10, it's like, oh. But the reality is a 10 out of 10 is unsustainable, right? Like, I can go and I can do a jiu-jitsu class, and depending on who's there, I could have one of those days where I run the table. I'm hitting every move I'm trying to hit. I'm able to work on exactly what I want to work on. Things are going phenomenal. And then the next class, it goes exactly the opposite, where everybody's running every move they want on me, right? And I'm getting tossed around and, I feel like I can't get anything working. And then I have some classes in the middle. But the reality is neither of the extremes happens the majority of the time, right? Maybe 10% of the time I have one of the days where I'm running the table, and another 10% of the time I have a day where the table's getting run on me. But 80% of the time I have days that are give and take, where sometimes I'm hitting the moves that I want to hit or the person's hitting the moves they want to hit, right? I get the better of them, they get the better of me. Or one round, I get the better of the person, next round, so that person gets the better of me, and it goes back and forth. And you need the give and the take. You need that's where the real winning is done, on those days that are, for lack of a better word, average, right? Because I'm still putting the work in, I'm still progressing, right? The 70% days, they add up. They really, really add up, because the 10 out of 10 is unsustainable, right? Just use jiu-jitsu as an example. If I was in the room where every single day, every single training session, every single roll, I got the better of everybody, I'm in the wrong room. I shouldn't be there. I should not be there. I should be somewhere else where there's better people to push me, of course. Don't get me wrong, there's going to be days like that where I run the table, as there should be with someone decently experienced. But like I said, there's also going to be an equal number of days where the table gets run on me. An equal number, right? Or at least very close. And then there's going to be the majority of days where I have a good round, I have a bad round. I have a good round, and even bad round is the wrong word. I have a round that I quote unquote get the better, and I'm most in control. And then I have rounds where I'm controlled the most. And that's okay. That's what's going to happen the majority of the time, right? It is much more rare for you to get the days where you're at those extremes, right? And you don't want to live in either of those places. Getting smashed all the time, no good for you. Winning all the time, even though you're not really winning in class, but you understand what I mean, not good for you either, right? You need the place where it's competitive, right? And the same is true when it comes to every style of martial arts training. Right? There are some days where people come in and like, man, I felt great today. Gangbusters. I pushed myself so hard and I trained so hard. My technique was good. My balance was good. I felt strong. I felt powerful. I felt conditioned. At the end of class, I was spent. How many times can you really do that in a week? Right? Especially when you're not 20-something years old. Right? When you get to your later 30s, your 40s, you find like you can't do that every day. I have conversations with students of mine all the time who are in their 50s, like, yeah, I don't recover like I used to. I'm like, hell yeah, that's being an older adult. I'm finding out. It's the recovery that is the thing that goes the most, right? But it's so important that we remember to stay the course, and we have to have the accurate expectations for ourselves. We can't expect a 10 out of 10 out of ourselves every single class because, again, that's not a sustainable model. We can do that once, maybe twice a week, but if you're doing it that way, how are you improving? Right? You're not doing it enough to really improve. I would take the student who gave me 7 out of 10, 3 or 4 days a week, over the student who gives me a 10 out of 10, 1 or 2 days a week. Because it's going to average out to be more for that other person. The 7 out of 10 guy is going to outlast them for sure. Right? Like, I made a mistake a bunch of times when I was a younger instructor, where I had someone who was gung-ho and they were brand new and they were so excited and they wanted to train like every day. And I was like, yeah, let's let them train every day. And those people would last 2 or 3 months. But then I had many people who train 2, 3 classes a week, 4 classes a week, and they train real consistently, years and years and years and years. Now, don't get me wrong. So some of you guys may not know that 2 and 3 and 4 classes may not necessarily mean 2 or 3 or 4 nights. Sometimes people will do a striking and grappling in the same day, right? They might. So it may be only 2 or 3 nights for them, but they're taking that much training, and especially like for kids. That translates to 2 days a week for 90 minutes a day. That's a real sustainable model for kids. They can do that for a very, very, very long time, which is great because that's going to be the thing that gets them good, right? If they burst and they train every single day hard as they can for 2, 3 months, they're not going to be that good as compared to the person who trains for years, 2 or 3 days a week, right? Consistency, it beats all. Right? It's going to be the thing that makes a person the best at whatever it is they do. It's going to make a person see the greatest results from whatever it is that they're setting out to do. Right? Consistency is the king. That's going to be the thing that saves the course. Right? And it's funny because over the course of years, not only as an instructor, but as a martial arts student, I've seen it so many times where you see this person who they're really gung-ho. They'll hit 1 week, they'll hit every single day. And the next week, they'll hit every single day. And then you see them a little less, and then a little less. And then you don't see them for 2 or 3 or 4 months. And then they come back, and they're gangbusters, and the process continues. Meanwhile, they come back, they're gangbusters, and they're getting beat by people that they were getting the better of 4 or 5 months ago, because those people have been training 2 and 3 and 4 classes a week consistently, and the other person just burns himself out. Right? They're not able to really stay the course. Being able to stay the course, being able to truly be consistent is the only thing that's going to lead to long-term results, right? Some people think that a bad workout or a bad training session or a bad meal or whatever, like it ruins everything or it doesn't work towards their progress. But the reality is, let's use workouts only as an example, or training sessions only. The bad workout, the bad training session, those are the ones you stayed on the couch. Those are the bad training sessions. But class is going on, and you're like, yeah, I don't really feel like getting up. The couch is so comfortable. Those are the bad training sessions because you didn't train anything, right? You did zero progress while people were there doing real progress. So the trick is to get in there and just get after it, to be able to give that day's best. Now, of course, right? Remember, there's always going to be nights where you're going to get stuck at work or life is going to get in the way because someone's sick or you're sick. Definitely if you're sick, don't go in and train and get everybody else sick, right? Those are the days that life is going to throw you away. But we don't let those things keep us off course, right? Like I had a rough month or 2 where life, really got in the way. When Onyx passed away, like that was a crazy couple of weeks. We were taking her to the vet and everything like that. And it just aligned so forth where it happened to be on my training days. Sorry, like my training, she had to take priority over my training, and that's okay. Because the thing is, it's not so much that life happens. It's that when life happens, we get back after it, right? Like I needed to be there for her and for my family and all of that. And but the important thing was not just that I was there, and the important thing wasn't that I missed the training sessions. It was that I got back to training as soon as I could. And then once I could, I got back consistent as soon as I could. Because by being back there and being consistent again, that's going to be the thing that continues my progress, that continues my fitness, that continues my journey, right? Don't let the bad days win. Don't let those crazy days win. Don't let that time when life gets in your way win. They're going to happen, right? You're human. You're human. Those are going to happen. Without a doubt, they're going to happen. But when they do, do the most important thing. Get back on the horse and stay consistent. Consistency is king. That's all I have for you guys this week. As always, you can reach me via email, senseileonelli@gmail.com. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at sensei_leonelli. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Sensei James Leonelli. Make sure that you guys find my school online, tsmasmithtown.com, at facebook.com/TigerSchulmanSmithtown. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at tsmma_Smithtown. The podcast is also on Instagram at Sensei's Weekly Mindset. Find out more about the Tiger Schulman's organization as a whole at tsk.com. Make sure you visit my link tree. You're going to find all our sponsor information there. Additionally, you're going to find everything to do with Flex Fights, which is going back up again, as well as Tiger Schulman's. Speaking of sponsors, sponsorship opportunities are still available. By all means, reach out to me any of the ways. Like I asked before, guys, please make sure you leave a rate and review. Just helps. Subscribe, get you new episodes every Wednesday. Remember to hit the notification bell if you're on YouTube. Also, make sure that you guys do the most important thing for me, and that is share the podcast. It's the only form of advertising thing I have. I very much appreciate when I see you guys doing it. So thank you in advance. With that in mind, until next time, my friends, invest in yourselves. I'll see you guys on the mat.